There's a lot of items that are out there that can be read as Coelbren and in Welsh, and they communicate very clearly.
Hi, welcome back, Croeso. This is, I can't emphasize enough how important this is. This is cutting edge research here from John Griffiths and his son Aled. And what they do is go back, and a lot of items which have been called Latin or Roman, and all those kind of abusive terms like vulgar Latin and dog Latin, all these kind of things, and actually look at the items and think, hang on, could they actually be Coelbren? I mean, these items, we're talking about items found in Britain, so if the British did have ancient writing, why is it said there's no examples of it? And the amazing thing is, and you'll see this demonstration here with some coins, and there's lots of other items coming, famous stones, various things, where amazingly you can not only see that it's Coelbren, but using the Welsh language as a key, well, as the ancient British language, you can read them, and they make sense. This is real cutting edge, and it's for me, it's a game changer. If you can show that we got items written in the British tongue that you can still read using Welsh to this day, everything has to be looked at again. It's very, very important. So I hope you enjoy these videos. Right, okay, so let's so one of the things looked at with the Coelbren is there, which I'm extremely excited about, because I think this is like coins. I mean, that's coins are crucial to all of this. I think coins are one of the few things that quite often have a date on them or a face or something, don't they, to help us trace. This is a strange looking coin, mine, but so yeah, talk us through this one and how it might have Coelbren connections.
Some of the coins are noticed in very modern text, Latin text, and that's fine. But on occasion, you get letters which are like Coelbren letters. You get an A, which is just the upside down V. There's no dash across the midpoint. So there are letters which are occasionally not quite modern, but they look back to the forms in the Coelbren. And I noticed that in some of the coins I've looked at which are British, they can be Coelbren-like, they can be modern, or they could be a mixture of. So that's just something I noticed. And looking at this one, it's mainly modern, although you do get an A there which is fully formed, or you get the one which is just the upside down V. So this is mainly modern. This is mainly Latin.
Well, this coin seems strange. I don't know. He just has a Victorian kind of feel about him, the guy, doesn't he? With his hairstyle and his beard style and the clothes. It's weird, very weird. His coin.
I agree. That's what I mentioned when you asked the question, and that's how I answered it. I thought, yeah, it does look very modern. There are lots of gold coins which are out there. I just open up online and ask to look at coins in that sense. I specify an emperor, coins, and then see what's available. And I look at coins. Some of them look really dated. Some of them look really bashed up. And many others look really in mint condition, as if there's no great age to them. But they are assigned to be old and authentic. So I'm taking that at face value.
Yeah, yes, I wasn't trying to cast aspersions. I was just...
yeah, but it's odd,
isn't it? It's amazing how new it looks and everything, isn't it?
Very much. And when I looked at it, I thought, well, this looks like much more like a Victorian dude. By the way, he's got his hair cut and he's got his beard. Because I've seen enough artwork to get a sense of, well, where does this come from as a time or a period? And there's a whiff of that about it. There's a whiff that it's may not be old. But then again, where does influence of style come from? Sometimes you can think that, well, maybe the Victorians were very keen on the Roman world, and they looked to it, and they might have appropriated something of what might have been the look and wore it. So we're looking at,
Yeah, but officially it is it's a Hadrian coin, isn't it?
Yeah.
we look at the governor who, visited Britain in the 120s, didn't he? I mean, that doesn't date the coin, but just get people out aware of Hadrian. It's called Hadrian's Wall. That's actually built by Severus a few generations later, but still, that's his fame. And he's crucial for our story as well, because Wilson and Blackett point him as the one who came over and had the big peace treaty in Cardiff in 125, and it's from him we get British descendants then, isn't it? There's no obvious heir to Hadrian. So let's look at the coin and see what do you think it might tell us?
On the surface, it looks on the top when you read it, well, that's Latin. We've got Hadrian, we've got Org, Cos, then you've got other letters which might be shorthand for something, and I do understand that Latin seems to be very occasionally they make abbreviations of words, and that's something that they do. So you very often can read the name, and it's surrounded by, or it's in amongst some abbreviations, and that was my understanding. Okay, this is coined by Hadrian, but it occurred to me that we might be able to break it down, which is what I'd done to the stones which are considered to be Roman stones in Britain, or stones written by Britons which are thought to be in poor Latin. What I did to those a couple of years ago was to break them up and find a way to try and read them as Welsh, and this is what gave me the stepping stone. Eventually the light went on, and I thought, well, okay, what happens if I turn the torch onto Latin coins and use the same kind of approach, which is what I did on Christmas Day, basically.
What else would you want for Christmas, eh?
Whilst the food was cooking.
Yeah.
Let me have a look at this.
It could be worse. I got that what's it called, History Grounded book for my Christmas present, and I read that on Christmas Day. That miserable destruction of Welsh history, but there you go.
Oh, that was awful.
That's another subject.
The first thing I did was the list of what's thought to be the British emperors from the where Jesus lies buried. Is that the title? There's a list in there. So I worked on that one. Then I thought, well, let me see now. Let me take the obvious step and let me see if this issue of a transplanted line is featured in Hadrian. So then I looked at Hadrian, and lo and behold, it's there.
Wow.
So that's curious that it would be clearly findable. So
okay, so do you want to talk us through some of the process?
Well, yeah, so essentially taking my experience from looking at the stones thought to be bad Latin in Britain, I look at the words, and basically they come in 2-letter clusters. It can be one single, it can be two, more often it can be three. So I just work on that rhythm. I break the words down where I get a feel for the fault in that sense. So it works simply. I tend to break it up in twos first, and then have a look to see whether there's any sort of place where it might want to thin out or extend. And in this one, it's quite simple. So I broke it into HA, DR, IA, and then I found a three letters there, NWS. With the Coelbren, I take the guide that if you've got a U, a V, or a W, they are variants, and you can exchange them. And that way, it just gives you the opportunity of finding a word. It's the same with C and G. These things happen all the time. So with the first word there, basically Hadrianus, you'd read it. I've broken it down into HADRIANWS. From the first word, then I just literally have a good look through the dictionary at HAHADU, and so on and so on. And there aren't many words that you can find. You literally just might get 3 or 4. You might get half a dozen. Sometimes you get a busload, 30. Then you need help. Sometimes you might realize that you might have to go to a third letter to specify in a long list how you can
right, okay.
So the first word, looking at that, I immediately saw with Hadu, to bring forth seed, and I thought, my God, it's there already. So it might be pronounced in the Welsh as a Hadai, I'm not sure, but to bring forth seed. After that, they are going down.
Oh, I see, a Hadraiach. Right, okay, yes.
Then I've got, I saw Draig. I just thought, my God, we've got dragon seed in here. Fantastic. What the hell is going on? Valiant is there as well. So, well, I'll be safer if I go for Valiant. It could be either or. It could be to bring forth the seed of the dragon or to bring forth the seed Valiant. So yeah, this is looking good. This is like, the name is really not a name as such, but a kind of directive, or it's a problem. So then what the problem is, Hadrian is describing, is that his search is to try and find a line of valiant leaders that will help out with the situation in Italy. In the sense, I understand that it's
Britain, yeah. Or Italy, that's what you mean. Yes, both ways. Yes. I was being a bit dim there. Yes, carry on. Yes.
Yeah, for IA, very quickly, yeah, for pedigree, and it's running very clearly. You were getting to bring forth seed valiant pedigree. And then the last word, I'm not sure to pronounce this in the Welsh, Noeth, is vigor, amor. So that's basically energy. So it's that vibrant, vigorous energy which is required. So obviously that package, all that package of Hadrianus there signifies to bring forth seed, valiant pedigree, amorous. And that's a stunning statement right at the start, which is what we understand that Hadrian's mission was to come here looking for help for the rulership in Rome.
Yeah, this is the whole point that we with Wilson and Blackett talk about, is they'd all been slaughtering each other in Italy, hadn't they? They had no people to take over the throne or run the empire.
It's been I've avoided Roman history all of my life, but certainly you get some sense of it. You can't avoid it in that sense. What you pick up in popular culture or reading, you get a sense that it was a difficult task. And any series that you see like I, Claudius, you get the sense of, if you watch that, the mayhem and the difficulty of survival. To stay in power politically, it was a hell of a job, and it's dog eat dog. You get a sense it was difficult. So you come with a sense of some of the sense of the difficulty, but going through all the coins, and then that I have done, and then you get to read I've read the narratives of the emperors. You realize what an explosive, difficult situation it was to be in charge of an empire, and it's really one difficult dogfight, to put it mildly.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't a very good life expectancy being emperor or something, was it, really?
Very often they're taken out very early. There's a lot of machinations. If you're not being got by your family, you're being got by the army or the Praetorian Guard, it seems to be.
Yes. And that's assuming you win the battles in the first place.
Oh, quite, yeah. So
you got your real enemies actually trying to kill you as well, yeah.
Yeah, there's a constant assertion and reassertion for control. Yeah, so no easy job.
Yeah, tragically, I think it's something that the Welsh happily continued throughout their royal family, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand. Yes, all that sense of fighting. Yeah. The second part of the coin is
Can I just ask you quickly, what do you reckon? What's the official reading of the second part? Do you know? Or Gox? I mean, it doesn't really read anything, does it?
You look at that and you say, well, this is part of this abbreviation stuff that's going on. And I think when I've looked at Latin texts, then expanded in Latin to make explicable the meaning, it does. You might get a series of abbreviations which are then expanded, and you can make some sense of it. Or let's say the interpretation given by the academics, they can find that they have a sense of explaining it once it's expanded. But when it's contracted, it's very difficult to make any sense of it. So there's probably a meaning for the coin in Latin. That's another thing that would be very interesting to try and get a hold of, and to see, okay, what do you make of it? What do you make of that statement from that same passage of letters?
Yeah, I need to have a look at it. I'm curious to see what the sort of mainstream or consensus understanding of the second part is. So you can see Hadrianus. I mean, you could fudge it or just read it.
Yeah.
But the next bit, you've got Augustus, I suppose. Cos. It's.
So it is.
So it's clearly not a word anyway. It's just a word's sake. I would have thought.
You would take Aug to be a contraction of Augustus. So you would do that, and that is obviously to some extent what you'd understand. But I've just broken it up. I've taken it as a body of letters that I can literally break up again.
Okay.
Easily into two. So I've got AU, GC, OS. I've gone for a single there. I've got two I's for ith, and I've got a single I, then double P. So it's not too difficult to find, and they deliver then words which if I could just rise up, I can see it. Yeah, AU can be the liver or gold. So I can't find much else. So I've gone with gold. GC, similarly, it's that only delivers a few words. So Godecho or Godechai, I suppose. So lieth in wait or to lie hid. So you've got gold to lie hid. So I begin to think symbolically in the sense of if the emperors are often likened to in quality to gold, the highest elements. So gold is
noble metal.
In a similar sense, gold quality is coming over, but it's going to lie in wait for a while before it's shown. And if I look at the coins, there's a title IMP, which basically translates as to graft a plant. They don't come up until 3 after Hadrian. I think it's 3 emperors later that they put the stamp on, which is to show that it's a graft or a transplant. So I think in that sense, the Hadrian had a son which was what's the word I'm looking for?
Adopted.
Thank you. Adopted. You have an adopted son. So when Antoninus Pius came on to be emperor, he was the first person in that sense, I think, from this bloodline, and he was touted as an adopted son. So obviously he's called in from, or said to be from, a Roman family, from nowhere in a sense, and then he's adopted and given the position, placed in the role of he will take the reins when the time is right.
Look after the shop, yeah.
So this is a strange thing. We've got this. Suddenly, we've got a very clear declaration. Then we've got an adopted son appearing. And so that's an interesting signal that we've got that in place. So we can take that Antoninus Pius is of this crafted line. So that's,
I've seen your transcribing of that coin. That's very impressive.
yeah.
Antonius one, yeah.
So if we got gold that lies in wait, obviously it's going to be some time before that's declared. If we go to the next couple, we've got OS, we've got Ospion, we've got a guest. And if we've got double I there, we got I think it's pronounced a language, I2, and then the double P is Pumple, which is the bridle, or a bridle. So that's interesting combination there. We've got a guest that's identified, and then a language to control. I think that might be the meaning there. So that's interesting. What do we make of this? A language to control. So the obvious thing is here is that, well, I'm reading this in Welsh. So the shock is there. I've got Latin and I'm breaking it apart, and it seems to be telling the narrative clearly by using the Welsh language. So we've got the term there, a language control, and it seems to be a point there that language is something between in the situation. So that's a revelation. So as I'm looking to this, I'm trying to come to terms with what, this is saying something very definitely about the finding of a bloodline, about having princes perhaps that could come in and take the role, and in that sense to take control of the language, or to take control of what's communicated. So it's packed, and it seems to be precisely what Wilson and Blackett said, that Hadrian came over to negotiate a deal to find someone that could
from the royal bloodline,
and
oh, it's fantastic.
So I just thought, well, that's bang on the narrative as we thought.
I think this is huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge. So you've done it with quite a few coins now, haven't you? And it's and other writing as well, of course. We've had a few examples over the last few months, haven't we, where things have been found with supposedly Viking runes or things like that, hogbacks and things.
Things have been possibly misidentified. So it looks like runes, and the things have been taken to be runes, but they are Coelbren. I'm thinking of the St. Paul stone with the dragon on it. But it breaks down very cleanly to tell a narrative in the Welsh.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so there's a lot of items that are out there that can be read as Coelbren and in Welsh, and they communicate very clearly.
Yeah. Let's hope we can get a bit more acceptance of it, because in this weird position, aren't we, where you've got a language you can write and read that doesn't exist.
What was peculiar when I put the interpretation of the St. Paul stone up is there hadn't been an official translation given of it at all, but within 3 or 4 weeks of it going up on the show, a new translation had been made and released.
No way.
To say that it was a Viking couple that are being celebrated in their, in their funeral together. It was a man and wife interred, and they were named. And I said, "Well, that's interesting. It's interesting that there'd been nothing declared."
All these years, nothing at all.
Yeah.
Perhaps we're being observed. Perhaps we're actually hitting there, being noticed.
Yeah, somebody's looking.